We're back with Dr. Abe Fischler. A while ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Richard Peritz. And after the interview, we talked about the power of mass media and how it can influence and shape the perception and sympathies of a world audience, even in entertainment and movies. We talked about the 3 to 4 hour long blockbuster movie Exodus way back, with Paul Newman playing the role of a young Yitzhak Rabin, and how that effective, powerful movie had the power of generating worldwide understanding and sympathy for the people of Israel at the time. Now, years later, with increasing terrorism and anti-Semitism in the world, how do you perceive the importance of mass media in promoting a better understanding of Israel today?
You're right. There's always been extreme positions, and when you allow the extremes to take control of a good portion of what the public hears and sees through television, which is selected shots set up so that they get the sympathy that they're looking for from those who view it. And the extreme Muslim group has been very effective in doing that. And it's been hurting Israel's ability to get its position out and for people to understand that Israel is not doing anything to cause this problem, but it's interpreted as the cause, and the cause is that they exist. The extreme Muslim group that's in that environment wants Israel off the map.
And one can only consider the fact that tiny Israel is surrounded by vast Arab countries with territory that exceeds that of the United States. They have all the land and space they need, Abe, and they really don't need Israel. One has to think that if they spent just a fraction of the money they waste on weapons and war, and if they would use it for peaceful purposes, the entire conflict could have been resolved ages ago. With their oil wealth, they could easily have built cities like in Abu Dhabi and Kuwait, with schools and hospitals for their people and a bright future for all of their citizens, including the Palestinians, whom, interestingly, they have deliberately confined in refugee camps for some very obscure and irrational and immoral reason. Squalid refugee camps all over Lebanon and Egypt and Jordan, keeping them in camps as political pawns instead of implementing sensible, good solutions. What are your thoughts on that tragedy?
We indirectly support that because we provide resources to those countries and we provide resources for those who are the extremes. That's one of the major problems that we face. We'd love to see them assimilated into Jordan or Syria or even Iran and other countries, but those countries don't want them. So they end up being in camps, and they blame Israel when Israel would be a good neighbor if they would just admit that Israel ought to survive. We haven't even got that since 1948 that came into being, and they have not agreed that Israel ought to survive as a country.
With the exception of Egypt and Jordan, with whom Israel does have peace agreements in place, my point is the entire region would have so much more to gain in a spirit of mutual cooperation and peaceful coexistence.
Absolutely, that's what's necessary to bring a resolution to that particular conflict. But so far, the extreme Muslim groups are not ready to sign that. They're not ready to sit down and debate and argue and discuss until they can come to some consensus. Israel is not going to give up Jerusalem. It's not going to happen. They've been praying to be there for 2,000 years.
Another area of concern is in the realm of public opinion, the media war, and how Israel is maligned in the worldwide press, in which negatives are disproportionately focused upon. I relish the use of the word disproportionate because it was abused in the 2006 war, describing Israel's restraint and final retaliation after 4,000 missiles were fired on Israel. Israel's response was described as disproportionate. That, again, was a lie by omission, telling half-truths. Anyway, so positives are hardly mentioned, but negatives are dwelt upon. And this amounts really to lies by omission. The public is given a false impression cumulatively, which shapes their opinion against Israel. And I'd like to ask you what your thoughts are on these lies by omission perpetrated by media in general.
Richard, you've been part of this media war since I met you, which is 20, maybe 30 years ago now. The Shalom Show, when you started, was primarily to educate the American public on Israel, on all components of Israel and what's going on in the country. You interviewed the most outstanding Israelis that came through here, and you went to Israel to run your show there. It helps. Now I think you're in a better position because the Shalom Show has a positive reputation, and you're now getting into a couple of million homes. That should make a difference in the effectiveness of the Shalom Show in this country. There is a need for more objective shows on television and in the radios, and but not the extreme positions that you see being set up, and where the media is allowing itself to be used by different groups, not to report the news, but to provide an editorial designed to influence what people believe and what they think. The media ought to be reporting news and not interpreting so much, and not allowing themselves to be used by splinter groups to influence public opinion. That's one of the major problems now.
Going back to your favorite subject, education, what are your thoughts on education in Israel at this time?
Israel is a major corporate environment providing products in many different fields all over the world. Its population is highly educated. There are more corporations per capita being formed and developed in Israel than in any other country. It's on the stock exchange in this country as number 2, I think, in terms of a country on our stock exchange. It's a very productive country. Its Nobel Prizes are more than in per capita tops in the world. It's primarily a contributing country to the intellectual well-being through its drug programs. It's a difficult country to describe in terms of its per capita. It only has 7 million people in a country that's doing what it's doing. So there's a certain jealousy, I'm sure, among the countries that are far behind Israel in terms of quality of life and contributions worldwide. And you can see it's a democracy that works closely with the United States. And as a true partner, it develops products which it provides to the United States, both military products and products for its civilian populations. People know that. People know that.
So all we can hope for is a future of inspiring and peaceful solutions for Israel and its neighbors, and of course the entire world, based on goodwill and mutual cooperation.
Yes, but we have to be smart enough to know that it's not going to be given to us.
Well, all we can do is hope for a brighter future. And as always, Abe, it's a real pleasure and honor to have you on the show.
And good luck to you.
We'll have to do this again in the near future.
Anytime.
Thank you. I'll be right back. This concludes our special show for today. I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.